Hello everyone, my name's Stump, and I'm going to be doing Spyro 1 120%. Now a cutscene's going to happen when I hit start new game, and timing will begin when I gain control afterwards. So I'll say when that is.
Okay.
Okay, rolling.
Oh, it's been peaceful.
Alright, the fade in after this is the beginning of time. And I'll start with rescuing the first dragon.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro.
There are
Please
80
take
of these in the
dragons
game.
the artisan world. Then find
They
the
talk to you for a little bit
transport
after
to the next
you
one.
rescue them, which you do by touching the platform that they're on. This is
Find
the only one
dragons
whose cutscene
first.
is not
That's
skippable.
all I can tell you.
And the other main collectible in this is the gems. There are 14,000 of them. And every world has one of these flight levels, where there are 4 sets of 8 targets that I have to get before time runs out. We won't be getting anywhere near time running out, hopefully. Now, those planes only move when the captain is swinging at them, so by adjusting my path, I can ideally manipulate them into being in convenient positions. Like that. And we got the archers around the outside. And these chests in here. Now, when I break open the last one of these, I'm going to be positioned a little bit low, and that is so that Spyro runs into the platform and under the chest. That skips an animation where Spyro would fly up into the sky, which takes extra time. And some of the thieves in the homeworld need 3 hits to drop all of their gems. And we'll reach our first, standard level. Each level has a few dragons, a few hundred gems. And this introduces metal armor. The side with the armor you can't flame. And since they're large, you can't charge them. This is the level where the game sort of teaches you that through what the dragons say when you rescue them. Alright, that's better. Yeah, I gotta wait for that one to turn around so I can reclaim its gem. But now that I've gotten all that and have the key, I can use that to open up a chest that's on the way up here. Now when you glide against a steeply sloped wall like that, it slows down your falling from the glide, and at certain angles can even get you extra height, but that can allow you to make glides that you normally couldn't. Also, each dragon, I'm trying to touch it at an angle that's closest to where Spyro will be at the end of the dragon cutscene, because until Spyro has walked to that place, it's not possible to skip the cutscene. Another type of level that every world has one of is a boss level, which is not really that different from a regular level, except that there tends to be less, or in this case, no fodder to release butterflies to restore sparks, and also there's a boss at the end. But the only way that that really counts towards completion is the gems that the boss drops upon being defeated. So if it weren't for this being 120%, the bosses would be optional. Now I cut across the pit there to cause that dog to jump into it. That automatically defeats it and gives me the gem. That didn't fall onto me. Yep, turns out the Toasty really was a sheep on stilts after all. So there's our first boss down. We still do have levels to do in this world before we can move on to the next one though. Now there are some surfaces where if you land on them you get a tumbling animation and are forced down, but if you hold the jump button when you land on them, the jump happens before you're forced down. So that gets you up here without having to go to the other lower part of the level and take a whirlwind up. And here's our first egg thief. They can run pretty fast, but many of them we can sneak up on like we did that one, and approach it at the right angle to cause it to not be able to start its movement before we reach flame range. There are 12 egg thieves in the game. And over here we got a seaside cave hidden sort of below the return home area. One of the movement mechanics types that's available where'd that one go? There we go. Is the roll that they didn't keep in Spyro 2. But when you're trying to... There are particular situations where it's useful. And rolling from that dragon puts you in a good position to break the next chest. Now, if I position myself right, I can break both of those rows in one pass, and I did it. So that was Stone Help. And there are two sets of platforms on each side of that upper area. But the portal to the remaining level is up there too, so I'm going to do that level before I handle the platforms on the other side. And this level introduces some types of chests that we haven't seen before. We'll be seeing those very soon. First we got these holes. Flaming or charging defeats them. They stick around for a little bit when you charge them, but they've already given you their gem, and that's what matters. And then before that glide was our first spring chest. That one shoots the gem up into the air, where you have to jump up and get it. And we got another egg thief. And the other new type of chest, the fan chest. It has to be flamed 3 times in succession to break. And a piece of debris flies off of it that can be used to hit something that you're facing when you flame it the 3rd time. We'll be taking advantage of that in later levels. Now we've cleaned up this area. And through this little passage is the balloonist that will take us to the next world. So that's 1 world completed and 5 to go. Each one of them, each balloonist has a specific set of requirements that you, for a particular collectible that you need to satisfy for him to actually bring you to the next world. And any percent pretty much amounts to satisfying those requirements in the most efficient way possible. The any percent requirement for this would have been to rescue 10 dragons. So here's where we're going to use the fan chest debris. There's a platform up there. You may have just heard an enemy die. That was because the fan chest debris hit him. And these birds' hitboxes extend down a little bit. So charging past the stake that they're sitting on will usually kill them. I need that. One of the things that can one bad thing that can happen is finding yourself short when you finish a level and then having to find where you missed it. That 25 gem there came from the enemy that we sniped with the fan chest at the beginning of the level. There was killing a bird by charging past the stake that it was sitting on. And then we got another new chest type coming up, well, right here, the fireworks chest. Those explode when you charge them or a little bit after you flame them. If you have the sparks to spare, you can flame them to get them open faster, like I did with that first one. That purple chest contains an extra life, but I flamed it open mainly because it was in the way rather than for the extra life, because if you try to charge through it, you actually bonk and I would fall, and that would not be good. So here's the second level of the second world, Clifftown. And at the beginning here, there is a jump around the back that I'm going to attempt to do. Again, didn't quite make it. But that was to... I can get that at the end instead, though. That's another place where... well, another way to take advantage of the physics against of steeply sloped surfaces. And we got this bottom level here to clean up. Now here's something I sort of did a few times without pointing out, but that was charging at the end of that slide to give myself a little tiny bit of extra height that allows me to make that jump. I did get the pot. Each of these pots has a gem in it, and it has to be flamed to release it. And sometimes it can be difficult to notice whether or not you actually have. That fell over there. But now we have this side of the river completed.
Playing Spyro? Yeah. Oh, I have that game. Where's everyone at? God, you know what you're gonna send me?
And here's where I'm getting what I would have gotten to with that initial jump. And that's lift down. Now it sort of works out that that enemy was able to. Oh. There we go. I pushed the cannon a little too far and it homed in on the spring chest that's way over here rather than the armored chest that was closer that I was actually trying to hit. So here is the boss level of this world, Dr. Shemp. The route for this is a little bit odd in that it will actually finish right near where the beginning of the level. That's because of the particular arrangement of the steps and which way they can be climbed from. And also because of those armored running enemies. The ones that passed by went off the edge and left their gem behind. So I gotta go back and hit those. That small jump and charge that I did there put me closer. Here's the boss fight. I already delivered 2 of the 3 hits, but the weak spot is his back. The place that's not armored. Also, there is something that I also was doing when unlocking some of the lock chests, and that is charging over a spot when this is the extra one that I left by. What I did was charged over a spot where multiple gems were spawning and then stopped. That causes sparks to automatically grab the gems as they spawn and make them home in. And that will bring us to the flight level here.
Yeah, Spyro's a really nice, like...
One of the unique things about this flight level is that every target is stationary. So this is all about how quickly you can get to them and not really about having to time anything. Even if I barely cross the plane of the arch, it still counts. And those lights being huge and right in front of you makes animation skip really easy in this one. Now there I was in the air when the egg thief cutscene would have started, so it didn't happen. Now that I got the key from over there, I can get the locked chest that's in here. Also I got some doubles on the spring chest. And we got one more level in this world, Ice Cavern. We start on a really high part of it and work our way down. But there is a slight routing complication to it in that there is a locked chest on one of the higher parts and the key is lower. We're going to solve that with a death warp because you keep keys across death. But first we gotta clear this upper area out. And getting some things that would be out of the way when we go back through this. And now we're back up here so that we can open up the lock chest. And then we can go down this path that is provided as the intended way to get back up there to unlock the chest. The ground right around that spring chest is a little bit lower than the ground the spring chest is on, so if you flame and jump from the wrong angle, you'll end up just under the gem. Here we have a trick called Magic Stairs, where with proper positioning, holding charge and jump gets you across all of those little platforms. There are these lampposts that have gems on top of them. Those can be a little annoying because you do have to somewhat precisely hit them. Now, hitting this one at the correct angle gets him down there in only one hit rather than two. Still getting a butterfly up there, so it was not available to grab the gem that was near but not on top of where I landed.
All of them. It's fine that he's here. I just didn't want him walking across the stream.
And this is the end of the second world. Yeah,
Doing a speedrun. Can't believe how fast we
exactly. Yeah, the balloonist is impressed too. The any percent requirement for that one is 1,200 gems, and I have 3,000. So here we have the beginning of Magic Crafters World 3. More than half of the dragon eggs in the game are in this world. There actually aren't any after this world. So this, well, I already got number 6, but 7 through 12 are here too. And here there's going to be a few more fan chest snipes. As you might expect from the name, there is some magic going on in raising, lowering, and moving of platforms mainly. Often that tends to get in the way. Here's another place to abuse the tumbling animation. That didn't quite make it onto the top though. Right between them, I was trying to hit one so that I could hit the other one when I got this stuff and was charging through here to that dragon. One of the interesting little things that were added to this game were enemy interaction. If I stood and watched what was going on there, there's the green and blue wizards there are scripted to attack each other. You're intended to need to wait and time your glide so that that barrier is down, but with a charge at the end of the glide, you can still make it on top of it. Also, you can get close enough to that one to scare it and cause it to lower the platform by gliding close to the right side. So that's another one you don't need to time your glide for, actually. Going around the back of that is another example of pre-positioning yourself towards the ending position of any of the dragon cutscene. Also, there's no collision data for the top part of that mountain. Now, and with the right positioning, you don't get knocked off the platform when you charge that. Wasn't quite at the right spot when I first landed, so I had to adjust. Now there's a lock chest. Oh, actually, before I do that, here we introduce Supercharge, a ramp that you charge down and you go faster and are more powerful with the charge, including being able to open lock chests with it. The key for that is somewhat later in the home world, and well, it wouldn't be good if we had to get it and then come back for that. Supercharge to the rescue. And that dragon would tell me about it, because there is some supercharging in this world. Hopefully we will be able to use the supercharging to remove the need for any of the fairies, because there are two things that they do for you here. One is rescue you from a particular large pit that I'll be supercharging across, and the other is giving me super flame. So here's the supercharge ramp. I want to use it to go right through those spring chests and through those fireworks chests without being hurt by them, because you cannot be hit by most things when you're supercharging. And here is charging at the end of a glide to get a tiny boost at the end. And now use that slope part to get up here. Oh, didn't get that one, but still getting up there saved me from needing to take this super flame all the way back into the cave and only into this room of it. The super flame instantaneously dealt with the fan chest there, but still launched the piece of debris. I'm gonna death warp here so that I can supercharge through the cave again, this time through the lower part of it, because there are still those large armored enemies. And these blue wizards. Supercharging causes the rule that you cannot charge large enemies to no longer apply. Trying to flame that open, because after this dragon I would be in a good spot to charge past it. You're intended to use different, to do 3 supercharges to get across to each of these areas, but you can get from one to the other just fine too. And there's an egg thief off screen to the left, so I just hit it with the piece of debris from that first fan chest. And that got me the second dragon egg in the level. Yeah, we got another homeworld supercharge to do. Opening up the armored but not locked chest that's there. Also, those light green wizards that shoot the lightning at you, they have annoyingly small hitboxes. Hopefully those will not come into play too much, but there are a lot of those in this level. But first we'll go out along the outside here, because there are 2 high platforms inside the caves here, and this is the way to get to them. Flaming and charging past a large enemy like this with the right timing causes the gem to automatically home in on you as if you had charged it, even though you defeated it with the flame. I didn't get the wall glide. Oh well, only a few seconds because that's near my death respawn point. Anyway, what I was doing to the large light purple enemies there was called flame charging. There are a few other levels where there will be enemies that can flame charge. I'm not used to playing on a TV this big. Anyway, we got some supercharging to do. Now I have to hit those fan chests 3 times. I angled my landing there to go straight through 2 of the spring chests so that I would automatically collect both of their gems. Alright, I have an extra life, so I can go for a trick here. Tricking the game into treating that as 2 supercharge ramps, so that I can make it up here, perhaps if I had glided a little earlier. You can see I go much farther on 2 real ramps. But now we're through the supercharging part. There are a few ledges towards the exit of the level that have the remaining gems and egg and dragon. And that is egg thief number 12, meaning we are completely finished with eggs. And that's Wizard Peak. The only remaining levels here are the flight and the boss. Now, Spyro does a like, flying away animation when you enter a portal, but the level is still loaded until the camera catches up and hits the portal plane. So if I did that right, I will have rescued the dragon on the other side of the portal without the cutscene happening before the level unloaded. We'll see after I finish. It feels like I may or may not have gotten that. Yeah, the third to last plane is not much of a detour to get if I miss it like that. That plane ended up in a not very bad spot. And then I get the animation skip off the base of the arch that remains when it breaks. Now let's see whether I got dragon skip. No, I didn't. I think my angle was a little bit off. But that is why I went into the back of the portal and tried to keep the camera off to the side. And here we reach the Magic Crafter's boss level, Blowhard. I never like entering this level with no lives because there is a particular room in the mountain interior that I occasionally die in. Hopefully that won't happen. These are a special, slightly larger type of green wizard. The main feature about them is that you can't charge them, but when you hit them, the gem automatically hones in. Oh! Yep, this was the level that this was the room that I was talking about occasionally dying in. Oh well. So I gotta make my way back through the home world to get back to the level.
Nope, still didn't roll. Got it.
What is this?
It's not that the boss is difficult, it's that the level is. The platforming in that room in particular. And they hopefully provide this whirlwind after, if you respawn after having delivered that first hit, that will let you shortcut back through without dealing with the innards of the level again. Now, doing the charge over the spawning point thing there particularly helps there because otherwise the gems go all over the place. And the any percent requirement for this balloonist is 5 eggs. I have all 12. one of the new mechanics in this world is electricity. Going on to those swamp areas when they're electrified hurts. And the animation for being hurt by it takes a while, so you don't want to do that. Oh, didn't quite hit that one in the air. There are a few spots where there are two fan chests that are close enough that with a correct positioning and angle you can be flaming both of them at once. I took a slightly wide entrance to that tent-like area there so that the close enemy would not start the attack too early. That was a slight wall glide that I did to get across there. And this has a few rockets to open armored chests. Ah, that's honk. Oh, this triangle of this swamp doesn't actually hurt you. Ah, if I hit that, I might have been able to squeeze in hitting the green enemy before he electrified the swamp. That's very tight to do, though. Oh. Yeah, I took one too many hits there. They really are. This fan chest is going to hit a... oh, actually, the angle wasn't quite right, so it didn't hit one of these chests. Got a cold sparks heading out of this, so the invincibility frames from taking that first hit last long enough that I can charge into the second one without taking a second hit. So that's what I do. Now, every flight level portal is hidden in the homeworld in some way. And in this case, it was that it's down a cauldron that there are a few other similar looking ones in the homeworld, but they're all filled with ooze that hurts you. This is Wild Flight, one of my favorite flights actually, because of the way that everything with the moving targets lines up so nicely. skip most of the animation off the ceiling. And the next level here is one of the probably most infamous ones in the game. And there are two main reasons for this, and those are different types of enemies that are present. First, these tree-looking things. They rush at you, and if they hit you, they eat you in an animation that takes a really long time. Yeah, those frogs are the other side of this. All right, that's yeah. Well, actually, the way that you actually are considered to have died if you spend too long in the falling animation. So that would not have been good if that happened. Well, I went through my entire sparks. So that means until I get another piece of fodder, and there's only one other one in this level, I have to actually touch every single gem. I also can't take a hit from anything. Actually, since I have so many... now I'll go for it, since I have so many extra lives from having game over. You can still flame charge things like I did with that frog, even when you don't have sparks. Oh! Yeah. Now, normally flaming before you charge through that does hit the ore like that. At that time it didn't. Yep. Yeah, there's some good dragon memes in this. That's definitely one of them. I think I didn't pick one of those. No, I did not. There's a place to land behind that little fence. And inside that island that I'm facing is probably the most difficult room of this level. We'll see how I do at it. I'm going in with full sparks, so that should help. But this is loaded with those armored enemies and the frogs. Yeah, the frogs are merciless. Oh, alright. There we go. Your flame range is just barely larger than the frog's tongue range. Oh. And the joys of having no sparks. The next level is also infamous, but for a different reason. I'm gonna go over here and get a butterfly so that I have some sparks. Up here is treetops. And the different reason that this one's an infamous level is the supercharge puzzles here. Puzzles that will be in some ways circumventing. But first we gotta get to the supercharges. Now I have no sparks. At least I'm not dead, though. And I will have a chance to get a butterfly before I need to grab gems off the ground again. Alright, here we go. That looks like I, again, don't have sparks. That will be death warping soon. And that's to get to the top of the supercharge ramp here, so that I can take advantage of a feature of the supercharge physics. Get some extra speed compared to a single ramp, and get over here, skipping a puzzle that would require me to take that supercharge onto the second ramp I went down before death warping, and then go the wrong way on a ramp that's to the right. Now, due to the way that my flame expands, by flaming a little early there and then charging down, I hit and killed that red thief before getting close enough to it to start its scripted movement where it wakes up everything here and makes me have to chase it down the supercharge ramps that I'm about to use. I think my flame must have gone right between them. Alright, now with that jump I'm trying to do something similar here on the highly sloped piece of terrain that was there, which I did. That is called Stone Knot Skip after its discoverer. But without that I would have to do a similar path of stacking two supercharge ramps to get up there. And that brings us to the boss. Metalhead. Like most of the boss levels before, this has sort of a early part and then a boss part of the level. I gotta get through that little thing there to get to this area where there is the key to a locked chest. One of the things that makes this one different from the boss levels that have been before this is that there actually is fodder here. So I will be able to, a little bit too far forward for Sparks to grab that first red gem. Anyway, I will be able to get up to a higher amount of Sparks health before I start the boss fight. Alright, now we begin the fight. Metalhead can't be hurt directly. Instead, you have to attack the power poles that power him. And they're on a cycle that, of electrifying. You cannot hit them while they are. And he occasionally throws enemies at you. You have to make sure there wasn't one halfway through the room when you hit the last power pole, because if there was, then that's where the gem would drop. I am 10 short. That means that is what happened. Sometimes you can manipulate the throws into destroying the power poles for you. Alright, let's get that, yep, halfway through the room. There was one of those mid-throw enemies. Now this glide here is very difficult to do without the without knowing the trick about charging at the end. To the point that when they made the PAL version of this game, they moved the gems that are over there to not be over there, because that was causing people enough difficulty. Alright, this should be 200. Yep. This is final homeworld cleanup. Now, by rotating against a sloped surface like that, it's possible to jump a little higher, so that caused me not to have to go back around and up those electrified areas. Also, the any % requirement for that balloonist was 50 dragons. And that is the highest sort of wall in any %. And here in this world, one of the recurring features is these enemies. They cannot be defeated, but hitting them causes some change to the level for a particular time. In this case, lowering that platform so I can get to it. Now this level pretty much revolves around Super Flame power-ups. Having to get one to then use it to get to some other part of the level. But with good enough movement, you can take this one to what blocks you from what you normally need the second Super Flame Berry for. And I got it. Now I gotta make absolutely sure that I take this wide. Oh! I was. If the camera got stuck on the other side of the door there, I would have crashed the game. Up. There we go. More supercharged physics abuse. Not having to take that all the way through the interior of the castle and back out to get out here. The reason I go for this Super Flame Berry is that this one doesn't expire. So now I no longer need to route the level around how long Super Flame is going to last. I'll be back through there so I can get that green gem. Whoops. Now you may have seen that red gem go off the edge, but I automatically get it. This is the one level that you do not want to have an unintentional death on. That's why I was being a little extra careful there due to having no sparks. The reason is that you lose the unexpiring Super Flame. And there is a set of whirlwinds connecting this area to the beginning of the homeworld, but that takes a long time.
supposedly plays anything at this point because it's even playing Capcom. Yeah, I wanted to try it.
These turtles are merciless. If you don't go straight to them and kill them when you get within range of them, you will get hit by the fireballs. I'm amazed that that did not hit me. A little bit like somewhere earlier in the level, I may have accidentally missed a gem, but the count's correct, so I know that I have it. Gone through this whole side area that I dropped down to and then crossed over to this other island and back. And at the end of that, we did that to get to a rocket that opens up the chest right above the entrance to that side path. And until I get the first gem that comes out of it, between the dragon and that, I actually am in a state where if I had died, I would have had to go all the way back around the side path to hit the rocket again. That would not have been good. That's why I did not talk about that until after I got the... after I cleared that platform off. This may seem like it would be a cycle, but it's not. It's actually caused by how close you get, so they will always grow as you get to them. We gotta use this thing to shrink these two. And they both did shrink. sometimes a glitch can happen and one of them will not. If that happens, you have to death warp and try again. Shrinking those enemies is the special little puzzle I had to do in the homeworld to get to this flight level. And this is the last flight level in the ordinary sense. There is a level in the final world in which you can fly, but it works significantly different from flight levels. To get animation skip, I'm going to be dive down onto that train to hit it. I wanted to let Sparks eat that butterfly before I entered. Yeah, hopefully that won't come into play. And now it has come into play. Anyway, this is Lofty Castle. This is probably one of the hardest, or at least most annoying levels in the run. The music and how awesome that is probably the only redeeming feature of this level. Normally, well, there are a few places where there are fairies in cages and you need to rescue 3 of them to cause a whirlwind to form to get to the next part of the level. But thanks to charging at the end of your glide, you don't need the first one. In the interior of this castle, properly timing your glide will let you kill those enemies and get the 3 fairy cages. I'm going to sort of zigzag a bit here to skip having to go all the way around that platform there to still make it across here. And that clears out that upper part of that island. Now that we have that, we still got one more caged fairy to rescue, and some fan chests. One of those is going to snipe that flying enemy I left down there. Those are of a type that where the gem auto homes, so that worked out fine. I am 2 gems short. Let's see if I can get this one in the air. Ah, I was wrong. I unfortunately am 2 gems short, so I gotta find where they are. Also, that's the only red spring chest in the game, so red spring chest type. Didn't actually get the fairy cages here because normally this is where I end the level, but I gotta find that missing gem. It's not up there. I know I saw it missing when I was at the whirlwind before this. Alright, it's not in here. Where did I miss this? Not up there. Not up here. Where is this? I know it was missing by this point of the level. It might have been at the beginning. This is a death warp to get back there. Or not. I knew I already had it missing when I was in here. Where is this thing? This happens to everyone at some point.
What was it? That was 26, 27?
Mine's a 30.
Oh, we're getting there. This is the last remaining level of the Dreamweaver's world. It is the boss level of it. Alright, there are 2 flows controlling these platforms here. If I kill them quick enough and can get in and out of this cave quick enough, I don't need to hit them again to get over here, and that is called cake skip. here is the boss. The reason I didn't hit the dragon on the way in is that due to the post-cutscene positioning, you sort of gain the... Well, it puts you more to where you want to be when you're exiting. But that doesn't really help you when you don't make it through the fight. I was a little too far forward to do that roll. I was trying to get to the right part of the platform, given that that right part was pretty much exactly across from where I was approaching it. That after hitting the pool. This was lowered by that one that I hit over there. So we got this last part of the level. Oh, that's Jacques. And this puts me right by the...
That's over 9,000.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And the 90% requirement here is 10,500. Oh, is 6,000, and 10,500 is what I have.
Okay.
Imagine if you needed all of it.
That's more.
Well, 12,000 is 100%. But there are the extra 2,000 in loot, which for some reason count as a whole 20% on top of that. But, oh, here we are in the final world. Each dragon mouth opens when I reach the return home portal in the level before it, except for the final one, Nasty's Loot, which opens when I have everything else in the game. And the special thing about this level is these barrels. There are two types, metal barrels and TNT barrels. Metal ones you charge into something, and TNT you flame and wait. Also, the dragons that are in the levels of Nasty's World are ones that you already have rescued. The plot is that they went forward to try to deal with Nasty and got recaptured. And there was getting a slight boost from, again, charging at the end of a glide. Now, if I timed correctly charging underneath this barrel, I did not, I was a little bit late, but that would have exploded the barrel in a place that would have opened that chest. And that keeps me from needing to charge a barrel into it from the top of this island. And that would have been called barrel skip. Having to climb back up here does take a little bit. The barrel skip is a really nice thing to get. I did not think that would make it. Nice little chain reaction of barrels there. $77 out of 80. Get another chain reaction here. Now, if I can position this just right, and randomness happens in my favor, I can hit all three of those with one barrel, which happened. Sometimes it'll go too far to the right and not break the chest open. Sometimes the barrels will not be in a good position and it'll only hit one of the enemies. Took an extra hit there. Hopefully there isn't a gem under that barrel. We'll see soon enough. I know what my gem count's supposed to be after this. And there is one, because I should have 352 there. But I would have had to either blow the barrel up or wait. But there's the first level of Nasty's World. A fun difference between the NTSC and PAL versions is that if I had, well, even if, say, I ended up missing a gem and having to hunt for it, I would have still had to hit the return home to open up this, but if this were the PAL version, I wouldn't have had to, and exiting level with 100% still counts. Here is Twilight Harbor, the last sort of standard level in the game. The main feature here is that the Norks are armed, and you have floating Doritos to avoid. There's a supercharge later that I will be using to open that armored chest there. Flaming that crank raised the bridge. I have to supercharge across it with it both raised and lowered in order to hit everything that I need to complete the level. And I'll do the raised one first. And we get back to the supercharge with Death Warps. The reason I have to do this with the bridge lowered now is to get to the armored chest. But now we can move on to the rest of the level. Where we got lots of floating Doritos to avoid. Those large ones can be flame charged. There we go. Alright. Next level is the Nasty Nork fight. The final boss of the game. But because this counts towards the 100% needed to open loot, this does not end the run. Not for this one. That's the 120 cutscene. So there are these DPs. Now if I'm to the right here, I can trick that one into running towards me and flame it to get the key from it. Technically that's a little bit slower in 120, but it's a nice thing to show. Right, so with those two keys I unlock this chase part, where if I can particularly get those spring chests with minimal delay, I may be able to get to Nasty Nork and flame him at the end of this without having to chase him around again. That would be the Nasty Nork 1 cycle. This seems like it might not. Got him! Yeah. So now I gotta chase him through these platforms here. And this will get me the last few gems of his level. Now I am going to have to wait for this cutscene and these credits here, but well, that's that's like 99%. There is a way to skip this. It's highly involved, highly precise, and is
What will you do next?
beyond my current level with the game. But it involves getting invincibility frames from taking a hit of from his ray attack, gliding against him as he does another attack so that you get launched upwards. The ceiling of that room does not have collision data, so you go out of bounds. You glide out, turn around, flare back, and flame upwards through the floor to deliver the final hit. And then the glide that continues after that hit puts you into the ooze at the bottom of the room, but that takes enough extra time that enough of the cutscene plays that you get the 425 gems. And thus, that counts as having 100% of the level. For bonus points, you do this with 0 lives so that you game over off of that death and respawn in the homeworld rather than in the level. But perhaps someday I'll be able to do that. In the meantime, we just have to wait for these credits to finish and then we can get the last remaining gems. All right.
Well, you're actually good at rock, paper, scissors.
About 3 minutes once I respawn. I think we got like 2 more fly-throughs after this. You can see that there's some simplifications to the level geometry here if you know what to look for. No sheep were harmed during the creation of this game. Alright, here we go. A little bit of cleanup to do in the homeworld, including the final dragon. And the final 20 gems to make 100%. And now for the remaining 20% of the game, which should take about 3 minutes.
12,000.
Yeah.
Now, in this level, you can fly, but you can only fly as high as the highest place where you started to fly. So what the keys are going to do is unlock staircases to higher platforms that will then allow you access to more of the level after you fly from it. So from here we can get over to this area, which actually provides a really nice illustration of how the debris from fan chests works. Because when I sent that one at the siege, I have enough time to wait and see that as I break the fan chest next to it. And we got this little area here. And then the next thief is in an airplane. If I time my fling correctly, like I did there, I can quick kill that one. Yes. And 2 steps is high enough to get to where I need to go here. So I'm going to go along here enough to force this plane forward to its like initial point here, and then go backwards through this so that I can flame it as it tries to come back down to start the chase again. And this unlocks only a 10 jump, but the height that I need to complete everything else. After I light these rockets and get these armored chests. Now I have less than half the gems and there's the return home. But no, no worry, the rest are all in here. absolutely sure, and time will be when it goes to black after this. Ready, and time.
Spyro the Dragon, you've defeated Ganasty Gnorc, collected the dragon eggs, saved all the dragons, and recovered every bit of treasure in the Dragon Kingdom. How do you feel?
Fired up, Bob. And I'm happy for the dragon.
I mean, we can take 2 pictures.
I certainly wouldn't want to spend the rest of my dragon days butting heads with nasty Morgan and his weird minions.
What's a
I
minion?
feel so bad.
Never mind. You know what they say. Every good battle, you need a good adversary. And I felt that Nasty, in spite of his misguided nature,
I hope,
was a worthy opponent.
I hope the Blowhard game over and the
Here we go again.
Lofty Castle gem hunt didn't push me over.
No, you were, I think you were still good. I think you were still pretty good.
All right,
Those aren't mine. I don't know.
Like 153, I think.
that's over. My estimate was 152.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was 155.
Maybe it was.
Do we know who's speaking? I know these 2 are mine. Good job, Stump.
Yeah, so it's still good.
Oh, all right.
That's the nice thing about it.
Yeah, it still counts.
That's a thing, right?